Right, second half, here we go. One question that came up last year and in 2023, it was a hot subject actually in that time, was DEI. Now, recently, I think because of performance, it's sort of taken a back seat a bit. So my question is, just a quick fire question. Chelsea, is it still a priority for your business, DEI? Are you still doing it?
I mean, absolutely from our perspective. So on that topic, firstly, I'd like to say how amazing it is to have 3 women on the stage.
Yes, absolutely.
What about men? What about men, eh? What about men?
It's something that's fantastic to see, and was a conversation that we were actually having in the break with a couple of people brought it up. But yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lot of DEI initiatives going on, but we're really focused on making sure that we're firstly bringing the talent that's correct into the business, but also giving people a platform then to grow. We don't want to bring people in and then keep them at those kind of implementation levels or apprenticeship levels or entry levels. We want to promote those people to grow up through the business, and I really think that that's where a lot of DEI initiatives fall down. It's after that initial recruitment or that initial entry point, and it doesn't grow from there.
What about you, Hayley? D&I initiatives seem to be scaling back. Lots of companies are canning them. In fact, I'm seeing. Is it still a priority for Bytes?
Yeah, it's always going to be a priority for Bytes, and we're very fortunate to have a great mix of diversity across the business, to be honest. However, it's a fundamental problem that we can't fix today. There are simply not enough different types of diverse groups coming into this industry. You can see it here. It's really obvious. And so it's why, we're trying to raise awareness. I'm part of the Tech Channel Ambassadors. That's Alex as well. There's a big group of us, and we've got lots of ambassadors joining, people wanting to make a difference and raise awareness into schools because they don't even know this industry exists. And until we fix that, and until we fix the education system that puts a curriculum in front of them that's enticing, we've got a really big problem.
What about you, Paula?
Well, it's definitely a priority, and I agree it will continue to be. Today, not only 3 ladies in the panel, but it's the Girls in ICT International Day. So it's really a great day to role model to those girls and get more and more not only recruited and joining our technology organizations, but then creating the space for growth, for developing, and to achieve those levels of diversity also in the leadership levels. If we think about what our clients face today from a workforce perspective, it's impossible to provide the innovation and the perspectives they need if we don't have a very diverse team ourselves. And when I think about that diversity, it goes from age all the way to background to, of course, gender, but that is what makes innovation possible in our companies, is if we have the representation of the client diversity in our own organizations to reflect it. So for us, D&I is really critical for our business to be able to develop what the clients need.
What about you, Des? The only man on the panel. Is it a priority for your business?
Absolutely a priority.
Thank you for saying that. It would have been quite bad.
Well, I wake up thinking about it and I go to bed. I think it is an important thing, and it should just be not a priority, but it should be part of the business and part of the kind of DNA of the business. Well, it is of our business. We've always looked at diversity. If you look at Cocho, we've got people from all different types of backgrounds, and that's what makes the team great. If you have all the same people from the same backgrounds, then they're all going to be wearing blue blazers and white shirts and jeans and brown shoes, and you got to have different people, right? And that's what adds the value.
Absolutely. Let's talk cyber. Cyber attacks are getting more complex. Where do you see or think that partners in the room and also your customers are getting more exposed right now? Chelsea, I'll come to you.
I think people are more exposed through complacency. to be honest. I think we have so many tools now and so many technologies at our fingertips, and the breadth of cyber technologies coming through the market is huge. And I think there is a real risk that we could become quite complacent in the fact that we have enough to protect us. The reality is that we are, as secure as our weakest link. And I think in this kind of environment, that's often your most vulnerable employee or the most agitated member of staff. It's not that server, that long forgotten 2003 Windows server you forgot to patch. We've got tools and technologies that can take care of that. So I think, training is absolutely fundamental. Maintaining, that kind of secure by default is a value that we hold really, really strongly at Rock because of some of the customers that we work with. But I think complacency is probably our biggest risk.
What about you, Paula? Where's the risk for partners and your end user customers?
Well, I think definitely we've evolved to frameworks of security by design, security by default as the way we are operating. But when we then get to the client, the zero trust framework that they need to have to make sure it goes from the user all the way to then the more sophisticated cyber technology, that today it's there, and it's there to prevent and to detect the threats, the red flags, and a lot more. AI is also empowering the cybersecurity technologies, but at the core, the users, the way they use the technology, the way they use and access the data, the shadow IT, those are really threats that most of our clients still have. So you can have very sophisticated technology when it gets to the back of your house, but you really need to make sure that's well spread across all users.
Des, what about you?
I think echoing what everybody else has said, it's got to be training, awareness. The same way when you leave your house, put the alarm on, lock up, make sure all the windows are closed. Same applies to work. That ongoing training, that using anti-phishing platforms and coaching platforms is all key. But my fear is the rate of sophistication which AI gives these
Attackers,
these hackers, is overwhelming businesses. And all you can do is reduce your risk and put the right systems in place and the right processes and the right training. But if you haven't got that, then you're wide open to attack.
AI seems to be both a blessing and a threat in cyber. Hayley, coming to you with this one, where do you think it's delivering the most impact today?
I think that the problem that we've got is it's just making the attackers better. The sophistication that people talk about, that's the race that everybody's trying to run against. And all of the security providers are constantly building their solutions to try and cater for these, but they're endless, and actually they can move sometimes faster than the providers can. So we've got this constant race. And I think that, where the impact is on people that are busy as well, right? So, that human risk factor is huge. And actually, you might miss something, you might just wrongly assume that an email is an email, but it isn't. And, there's all this pressure surrounding it, and it's because of AI. That's what's really causing that momentum at the moment where everybody's getting really nervous because they can't keep up with it.
What about you, Paula? What do you think?
Well, absolutely. Attackers and hackers are getting a lot smarter and using the same technology. So definitely the way to think about the frameworks of security need to be on these security by design, security by default, and zero trust, assuming we've all been attacked. You just don't know when. So putting all that prevention and education and also the tools to try to compromise the least when you get that attack. I think it's the day-to-day race between the reds and the blues. It's the reality of AI in cyber.
And Des, for you, what sort of kind of AI security questions are clients hitting you with? What are they most worried about right now?
So they're worried about deep fake. So AI could capture your voice and then play back your voice to people internally, whoever, in order to breach a network or gain access, steal money, and it's quite easy to do. Do it with videos, do it with voice. It's quite scary, really, particularly when the banking system identifies you, well, mine does anyway, by voice. If deepfake can take your voice and call the bank, then they've got access to all your details, and that's going to happen.
What about you, Chelsea? What's the customer saying to you? What's the biggest threat they're worried about?
I think customers are increasingly worried about the complexity of their own environments. They've organically grown over time, especially when they're really heavily on premises. The more technologies you have, the greater your environment, the more entry points that you have ultimately, and the more likely you are to hold vulnerabilities that either aren't covered by a service provider or your own internal team, don't have the skills or no longer have the skills because they've moved on to newer emerging technologies. So I think that's a real threat. I think for me, the opportunity there is to lean into some of these shared platforms, which often when you're working in highly secured environments are seen as a bit scary. We all want to have complete segregation of our data, but leaning into shared platforms, leading into, greater security in the cloud means that you can share those kind of lessons from other people's incidents. You can share, centralized patching, centralized vulnerability management. And I think there's real power there. And actually, that's probably the only way that we're going to get to the scale and to the maturity that is actually going to prevent attacks happening on a global scale.
Let's go on to data privacy. Can we trust AI models not to learn and leak sensitive information over time? What do you think, Paula?
Well, I think that's why all the frameworks for responsible AI are so important. And as part of the industry, it's on us to be true to those standards. Because it's absolutely true. I mean, if the sources of data are biased, your model will be biased. So how do you set up the responsible development of AI that secures the privacy, the security, but also the right assessment of the data, not to give you back the bad result? So I think as an industry, and because this is such a new technology, we do have those responsible AI frameworks that we apply when we do our own development. We train our own people, but we are also helping clients setting up their own foundations for the responsible AI development, adoption, because that will be crucial to avoid those situations.
Hayley, what do you think? We trust it?
I think trust is a strong word. But here's the thing, if we don't do it, then we don't stay relevant and we don't move on in our markets. So we've got to take a bit of a chance with it.
Des, what do you think?
I think when we started using iPhones and subscribing to Google, we lost our privacy. And as businesses and these AI platforms, the LLMs, that of course they've taken our data and we've got no control over it till they put these frameworks in. And even when they put the frameworks in, I'm a very skeptical person. So I think, these frameworks, someone's going to have our data, and it'll be Meta, it'll be Google, it'll be OpenAI.
What about you, Chelsea? Are you worried about data privacy? Can we trust these AI models?
I don't know if I trust my dog. I don't know if I trust something like AI. But I think what I would say is that we've got so many tools out there that we can use to enhance our data protection, and I think that's a step a lot of people are skipping on the way to fully embracing AI technologies. So, I think we have to start with data protection. We have to start with leveraging tools like Purview, for example, in the Microsoft stack before you move to full Copilot. And if you can do that, then yes, you can trust AI because you're only giving it access and you're only leveraging it to meet your business needs.
Do you think big tech is actually stepping up to protect democracies, or are they just quietly profiting from things like deep fake and misinformation? What do you think, Des?
That's a massive question, and without getting political, I think we're not protected. I don't think we're protected. I think we just have to roll with it because we haven't got no choice now. Our data is not our own. Companies' data, they try and make it their own, and we can put systems and processes in place. But we're out there in the public domain, a lot of data. So,
what do you think, Hayley? Big tech, are they stepping up to protect us or not really?
I don't really have an opinion on that one, Mark. Who knows? Conspiracy theories left, right and centre. Perhaps you have a discussion with Paul about that one. He follows this stuff. And there is a podcast, To Catch a Thief. I think that was a recommendation he made. So you can look that one up, maybe. It will tell you more.
Paula, what do you think?
Well, I think it's definitely a big question, and I will keep it there.
You'll keep it. We'll move on. We'll move on. Let's talk about your predictions for the future. Where do you see AI and cybersecurity in 3 years' time? Chelsea, where do you see it being?
I think 3 years ago we could never have predicted, where we'll be today. My job is literally to look, 12 to 24 months into the future. I would say that, as I said before, I think there is real power in sharing data, in sharing platforms, in sharing those cloud spaces, and maybe taking down those barriers a little bit, so that we can look more at protection as a collective, as a trusted group. Against kind of, those attackers and those malicious threats. So I think there will be a real shift towards that, to more sharing, more standards alignment, and I think the vendor landscape itself is going to come more and more together. Everything is open standards now. The real power in service providers is how we integrate that, and I think that kind of elusive single pane of glass that we've all been after for a long time is probably nearer than we think, but probably in a different shape. And I think it's going to come from services as opposed to, a vendor giving it to us.
Des, your predictions. Where's cybersecurity going? Where's AI going?
Well, AI is not going anywhere, is it? I mean, it's here to stay. Cybersecurity is definitely here to stay. I think it will be machines fighting against machines. I think companies like ours will be developing AI to augment the cybersecurity products and our managed services, and speed up the time to remediation, and make it lightning fast. So that I just think we'll develop AI in line with the market.
Hayley, your predictions? Where's the market going?
I think the way that we're using technology is going to change. If you look at the low-code, no-code way that the developers are going, SaaS is apparently not going to exist. We're going to be consuming technology differently. So that directly impacts the way that the security and AI is going to be consumed as well. So I just see it being a fully automated world at some point. I don't know if that's the next 3 years, but that's where we're going.
Paula?
Well, 3 years is just too long.
Let's go a year. Where's it going to be next year?
I don't think I can predict there. The speed that we are evolving is just incredible. But definitely, I agree, the way we are using technology will change even further, and we will see a lot more of the automation, the agents, and a very personalized way of interacting with technology and with all the user interfaces that we will have available.
And my last 3 questions, quick fire questions round this time, and no sitting on the fence. Best tech, worst tech you've seen recently, Chelsea?
Oh, I mean, best technology. I don't think you've got an exclusive here. I think I gave this to someone else as well. But the best. I really think what Cato are doing in the SASE space is really impressive. I think the best technology is that maybe doesn't have the handcuffs of legacy on-premise, refreshes that they're still trying to keep hold of. I think that's really impressive. I think Worst technology, I'm not going to call out
Oh, no sitting on the fence.
a vendor or a product, but I think it's those that are kind of repeating the same things. I think if we see another kind of very niche platform that's looking at giving us, for instance, like self-service catalogs, come up with another idea. I mean, there's only so many that I can look at.
Hayley, come on. Best tech, worst tech.
Air fryer. Changed my life.
Very good.
My husband now cooks. So, yep. Don't have a worst tech. Didn't have time to think about that one, unfortunately.
Paula, worst tech. Worst tech.
No,
Best tech,
I
worst
don't
tech.
have a worst tech either, but definitely best tech. I would say I'm very impressed in the way all these AI agents, AI assistants are becoming part of our day-to-day, the way we use it on our personal and professional life, the way it's democratizing the use of technology as a interface. I think it's really a step change in the way we work and we live, so that's the best tech in the last year.
Des, are you going to say what's the worst tech? Best tech, worst tech, come on.
Worst tech is the cellular phone network, because you can never quite get a signal, still. The best tech, I mean, there's lots of great technology out there, so I wouldn't say anyone, you know, Microsoft.
Your favourite?
Microsoft Copilot.
Well.
Yeah.
Favourite vendor 2025, who would it be? One word, Hayley, who would it be?
Convolt.
Well, I have to say Microsoft.
I have to say Microsoft.
I've already said it, Cato.
Cato Networks. And the last question, before we go to some lovely questions from the audience, which company, not a vendor, could be a competitor, could be another MSP, maybe a company that they don't know in the audience, or they might be in the audience, which company is the one to watch this year? Des, who's the company you think could do well this year?
I didn't read that question on your... what's the company that could do well? OpenAI.
Chelsea, company that do well this year? Not a vendor.
I mean, I really hope that we all do really well this year. And, I think in terms of a company that I've seen, winning lots, they're already really big, but, Node 4 are doing really cool things. They've got a contract with one of our customers in a really great space. So, yeah, hopefully we can work more with them.
Paula?
Well, I don't think I have one to watch, but I think there is a space to watch, especially in the UK. All the investment that is being made on AI by new startups, new companies, is definitely, in my perspective, a space to watch, because I believe great things can come out of these new companies that are making and getting big investment.
Hayley, close the show. One to watch, company that will do well this year.
Mr. Fenton and his team at Ingentive.
Ingentive, yeah. I think maybe they might be here tonight. I'm not sure. A couple of them anyway.
Here.
Let's go to the audience. Let's have a quick question. So, has anyone got a question for the panel, please?
We do. We have Angela Whitty here, desperate to ask a question. Angela.
Okay, great.
Have been desperate. Anthony has been saying for a long time, Marc. Shh. Anyway, I have a... Shh.
Please be quiet. Please be quiet at the back.
No, just for you. The questions were supposed to told me ages ago. Questions from the audience.
Yes.
Sorry, panel. Really interesting. I would like to understand from each of you, right, we are all people who have insecurities about cyber, personally and professionally. What is the one thing that keeps you awake at night? Right, we've heard all of that, from a business perspective. The one thing that keeps you awake at night, and what's the one thing you go into work and do every day to protect yourselves personally? Because I think there's two things. There's business and there's also personal as well, which is also business.
What gives you sleepless nights, Hayley?
Well, I don't sleep anyway. So, what do I think about? Team dynamics, really important. People are everything. So I'm constantly concerned about how the team are performing, how they're coping, and so on. So I'd say that's my main focus.
Des, what keeps you up at night?
Sleep very well, thank
Do
you.
you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. We'll move on. Chelsea, what about you?
Those people that still insist on doing their work with no screen protector on trains, they keep me awake at night. And I would say one of the things that does play in my mind a lot, we've got a kind of a low-code practice with developing software products internally now, and one of the things I do think about a lot is how we're going to keep up with the security vulnerabilities and the challenges around those products. You know, it's a big pivot for us, and it's something that we're launching quite soon. But yeah, I would say that's one of the main things, is really making sure that our customers stay protected with something that is wholly ours to own.
Any other questions?
We have Donovan Hutchinson here.
Donovan,
who was the
go
victim
ahead.
of our trailer earlier, so he's got a question.
All right, okay, so 2 observations and 1 question for the audience, right? Not for the audience, for the panelists. So, Marc, amazing. I love your coming out story. Like tonight, the I'm Coming Out song was incredible. Welcome to the team, right? So, second thing, I just want to say this is the most diverse panel on Channel Chat Live. So, 3 women, so congratulations. For anyone who knows, I do advocate for diversity, integrity and inclusion. So, third thing though is I really want to understand how AI is influencing both your personal and your work lives each and every single day. So, over to you,
Chelsea.
So, I mean, in my personal life, I use AI almost constantly, right? Itineraries for things, shopping lists, what I'm going to cook, absolutely everything. And the productivity level that it gives you is honestly monumental. In the workplace, as we said, it's really for those tangible outcomes. You know, how can we actually shift left? So the first place we're really looking at adopting AI in a really useful way is around our first line and our service desk teams. You know, how do we enable those people to use AI and automation so that they can level up and look at, you know, getting more time to upskill, getting more time for training, getting more time to stay on top of their vendor certs, so they can become, you know, second line analysts, cyber analysts, third line, because training and staying on top of your skills is something that we don't seem to find the time for, and I think AI will give us that ability.
What about you?
Well, I use it every single day in my personal life. Copilot is one of the first applications in my mobile. For everything, I do use it today. And definitely that is also coming then to the professional life. The ability, and I'm not a native speaker, so Copilot does help me even in correcting my emails when I send answers back to my clients. So from the very basic things to the most complex ones, which is summarizing meetings and helping us to, again, gain the time, be more productive, and do more things that add value, especially creating time for creativity, brainstormings. Because what keeps me awake at night is how do we transform ourselves and make sure we have our own people going through this transformation cycle. So we are the first ones to adopt and to take the value and then to show and apply it to our clients. So it has to be part of our day-to-day.
Hayley?
Meeting summaries. I use it, meeting notes all the time. I use it to prospect before I go to customer meetings. I tend to kind of block out time to just fire some questions into Copilot. It tells me everything that's going on in my customer. It's made us far more efficient. I wish it made my PowerPoint skills better. I'm still working on that, but it's coming.
We'll have 2 more questions. We're going to wrap it up soon. So 2 more, Anthony, please.
We've got Jeff Neen, the CEO of Devania, is going to ask a question.
Jeff, hello.
Hi, Marc. Thanks
Hello.
for that, and thank you, panel. So it's pretty clear from the conversation and a lot of things in the industry recently that the number 1 and number 2 things we should be focused on are AI and security. What's the panel's view on what's the 3rd thing on our list that we should be focused on and developing to continue to add value to clients?
Good question.
That's a good
Yes.
question, Jeff. Another northerner, smart northerners. So I think it comes down to people development, developing people in the organisation to help them augment this new technology and help them be creative and innovative And I think that's what our business is focused on, alongside all these new ideas that are coming out.
Chelsea.
I think for me, the other technology area to really focus on is data platforms. So I think, as I kind of mentioned earlier, once you've got that foundational infrastructure, you know where you are with your cloud capability, you know where you're staying on-premise and for what reasons, looking at that cohesive data platform is going to become really important. More and more, especially within public sector, we're seeing federated architectures across defence, across government departments, across higher education. So I think that data platform is going to be really key, and I think the companies and the service providers that crack that offering are going to grow monumentally over the next kind of 3 to 5 years.
Hayley?
Yeah, just adding to Chelsea's actually. So we're seeing a lot of consideration of the choice of platform as well. So whether it's in the cloud or if it's on-premise, because of the security measures that you can apply to the on-premise workloads. So I think that's a key focus. But more than all of that, so more than security and AI at the moment, our customers need efficiencies. They are constantly trying to create budget to do new things. We are in cost-saving mode with them all of the time, so that's still a big area that we see huge demand in.
We're running out of time, so we've got one last question, please. Right, front row.
Alex.
Oh, Alex.
Alex always closes the show.
Yeah, Alex. Close the show. Last question of the evening.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, there are obviously a lot of Microsoft skills on the panel tonight. How important do you think that AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure Cloud are going to disrupt your business?
Great question. Hayley?
It really is. So, we have a big AWS presence. We have lots of customers. We have our sister company, CloudBridge, who are the delivery engine for us, another partner ecosystem example. We find them very different to work with to Microsoft, but the synergy is there, and certainly now the customer demand is coming for us. So it's been some time to get to that, I think, and we certainly haven't made the same roads with Google yet, but the demand is coming. Marketplace is driving some of that behaviour, and we're certainly seeing that as a more used vehicle to market for certain procurement. So I think that will probably spur on our Google relationship faster than kind of the GCP side of things. But certainly AWS is already part of our portfolio, and we have to manage that balance very carefully.
Paula?
Well, we are mostly a Microsoft house, so Avanade is very focused on the Microsoft footprint. We see, of course, some clients that have multi-cloud as their strategy, so we do partner with others that can also support those platforms. But I think in the moment we are also seeing less of spreading and more consolidation as one of the strategies to create efficiencies. So that's one of the areas that we are looking as a potential opportunity on our accounts.
Des?
We're pure play Microsoft. In the short to mid-term, we've got no intention of looking at any other public cloud, AWS or Google. I think AWS, we compete with them. Google, we never come across. I think AWS is a threat, but it's kind of, there's enough business out there for Microsoft, and we want to keep specialist.
Chelsea, close the show.
Sure. Maybe even a slightly different take. So, as a smaller managed service provider, we're not important to Microsoft, right? So we've struggled at times to really develop that relationship. We've done some really cool things with the Microsoft platform, and it is a core and growing part of our business, and our customers want it. So we're not stepping away from it, and we're expanding in that area. But we have recently, entered into a strategic partnership with Google in the security space. They backed the launch of our Security Operations Center. It's something we're really excited about, and I think there is a place potentially for these global multi-billion-pound businesses to create an alternative, and that is something that customers do want. They want an alternative. They want somewhere else to go, and ultimately, the higher you climb, the longer the fall. Absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the show. The cameras will go off now. So everyone's happy about that now. And I didn't fall over. We can get one final drink in here, but we're going to exit here at 9:30. Drake and Morgan is our after party. Please come along. The cameras will be off, but we want the conversations to continue. And like I said at the start of the show, there's loads of partners in the room. There's loads of MSPs. There's loads of VARs. There's loads of distribution. Please meet everyone and speak to everyone. And please keep your name badge. That will get you into Drake and Morgan and get you a free drink, as many as you like. Thank you very much.